Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to commend my colleague, the Honorable Dr. Ashney Singh and his team for bringing a comprehensive, a visionary, and a transformative budget to this National Assembly. A budget that will be touching the lives of every single citizen, every single sector in a positive way. And Mr. Speaker, listening to my colleague over there, Mr. Kemaraj Ramjatan, and if one is here for the first time, listening to his speech just now, they will thought that this man is full of virtues, this man is full of honesty, but they must remember that right here in this hollow hall, not so long ago, this building has become a monument to the preservation of our democracy and freedom. Mr. Speaker, our freedom and democracy that the honorable member and his party was trying to steal from the Guyanese people. And Mr. Speaker, to come here and ask for a 10% wage increase for public servants, when they dismiss 35,000 and more people, how ironic that is. How ironic that is. The Minister of Public Service would have already indicated in her budget, in her presentation at various fora, that there is money in the budget for wages increase. So to come here and try to play on the emotion of people is very cheap politics, Mr. Speaker. Very cheap politics. Mr. Speaker, as I said, just over 6 months ago, we were here in this National Assembly, this hollow house, and to prevail attempts by the honorable member and his party from trampling on our Constitution. And I am here, Mr. Speaker, proudly standing just over 6 months, right here in this building, to support a budget that will improve the lives of every Guyanese, every sector in our country. And Mr. Speaker, the honorable member talked about debt, and they didn't borrow when they were in government. What they received, the treasury was healthy, the economy was healthy. When the PPP left government in 2015, they hadn't time to borrow, they have to borrow money. But what we received August last year, the Honorable Minister of Finance will tell you, he already answered the question, that the treasury was in a deficit, that the treasury was bankrupt. As a result of that, there was no fund in the country, Mr. Speaker. That's the reality. And he aptly described the period in his budget speech, talking from 1966 to 1992, talking from 1992 to 2015 when there was economic renewal, when the country see progress, and then talk from 2015 to 2020 when we see regression, when we see economic collapse, when we see our rights were denied by the new AFC government, Mr. Speaker. And then, Mr. Speaker, the other period, I hope when the minister will respond, he will talk about the next period from 2020 way beyond into the future, where we'll move this country and we'll make it the envy in the Caribbean and this hemisphere. So, Mr. Speaker, to come here after they were rejected less than 7 months by the electorate and come here and talk about cheap politics, say about misinformation in the budget, talking about half-truth. Well, Mr. Speaker, we heard a lot of half-truth. We heard a lot of misinformation just now. They have come to a position where they have boxed themselves into a corner. They are being isolated today in this country because everywhere you go, Mr. Speaker, every corner in the country, I will talk about agriculture just now, but I have to respond to the misinformation being brought into this house. Mr. Speaker, every corner in this country you go, people are talking about the positive programs in our budget of 2021. And Mr. Speaker, I just want to quote a few. This here is the Central Quarantine Chamber of Commerce. They said, what they said, the 383.1 billion budget has no new taxes. No new taxes, Honorable Member Mr. Ramjatan. And taken with the reversal of key taxes in 2020 budget will once again incentivize the private sector, motivate the general population, and bring relief to the ordinary men. Mr. Speaker, the Women Chamber hailed budget as transformational. The Guyana Council of Organizations for Persons with Disability, they said they wish to congratulate the government of Guyana for comprehensively addressing the needs of the disability community in the 2021 budget. Mr. Speaker, FITUG, the trade union with the largest block of workers, you know what they said? The Federation of Independent Trade Unions of Guyana, having considered the 2021 national budget, is most pleased with several measures proposed. We believe that the policies and programs outlined by the government through this budget will redound to the benefits of the Guyanese from all walks of life, Mr. Speaker. FITUG has taken note of several initiatives to put more money in the hands of our people and ease the burden placed on the backs by the former coalition government, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, small political parties happy to see input reflected in the budget. And I can go on and on. The Georgetown Chamber of Commerce, the Ancham Guyana, you got the Guyana Manufacturing and Services Association, everybody compliment this budget, Mr. Speaker, except APNU and they're over there, 32 of them over there. Mr. Speaker.
32 of the honorable members over there.
Pardon me? The 31, because the other members had partaken in this budget discussion, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to say just now, the honorable member said that the Minister of Finance would have said that there is no tax, or there were no tax in their program, and we were claiming that they taxing the Guyanese people. Mr. Speaker, we came here in October to reverse D&I charges, land rental, and VAT on a number of commodities in this country, Mr. Speaker. What the honorable member is saying. But as he said, I don't want to take all of his time to rebut him, but I think he has spoken a lot of misinformation. He came here prepared. I thought I was in a gaff shop passing around, like them boys in the street corner or the rum shop gaff, you're gaffing all the time, something like that. You must come here with facts. And then, Mr. Speaker, barefacedly, the honorable member referred to the COI, the Commission of Inquiry. He never quoted. He just referred, and he said the COI said, right size the sugar industry. Well, let me tell you what the COI said, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is what the COI said. Listen, Mr. Ramjatan, honorable member. The way forward, the sugar industry remains vital and important to the economy of Guyana and its people, many of whom have their lives touched by the sugar industry. Mr. Speaker, the sugar industry must be given an opportunity not to just survive, but revitalize and become vibrant, efficient, and profitable business where employees have a sense of security and optimal use can be made of resources. Mr. Speaker, and it went back again and it said Gaisuko needs a significant injection of funds combined with competent management teams and leaders to go forward. I am still looking for the word right size, Mr. Ramjatan, honorable member word. And Mr. Speaker, it went on to say, role of the government. Every government has an obligation and commitment to all the people of the country. That is what we are doing. We have a commitment to the people of this country, Mr. Speaker. And it says here, one more part I want to read. It says here, the COI. Listen to this, Honorable Member Mr. Ramchatan. You're talking a right size. Here what it says, the COI does not recommend the closure of any estate at this time. This is the COI, Mr. Speaker. This is the COI. And Mr. Speaker, again, I will provide the honorable member with a copy of the COI. Probably he never saw it. And he's just talking on top of his head. Mr. Speaker, and then the honorable member came to this house just now talking about the performance of the sugar industry. I mentioned it before, and I am again mentioning it here. In 2015, when we left government, Gaisuko was on the path of recovery. Gaisuko was on the path of recovery, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, when you come to this house, you must not come with street corner gaff, or rum shop gaff, or market gaff. You must come with facts. And I will give the facts, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in 2015, when we left government, because of the work we would have done in the sugar industry, the production was 231,071 tons of sugar, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, in 2017, and here how it goes, after that the coalition took over, here how it goes. 2015, 231,000 tons. 2016, 183,000 tons. 2017, 137,000 tons. 2018, 104,000 tons. 2019, 92,000 tons. And last year, the lowest ever in the history of Gaisuko, 88,000 tons. That's what they did in the sugar industry, Mr. Speaker. That's what they did. You know why they did that? They set up a commission of inquiry hoping that the COI will find that they will close down the entire industry. When the COI said, don't close any estate, they said that is not gospel. They will close, man. They will go ahead and close. Mr. Ramjatan, honorable member, he was leading the government team, Mr. Speaker, when they had the consultation. They didn't ask the subject minister at that time, the Minister of Agriculture, to head the team, and the Minister of Finance. Mr. Ramjatan, who normally was used by the coalition all the time, he went and he led the government delegation. And when the trade union and the opposition asked that, look, you closing down the factories in these areas, let us do an economic impact study. You know what the gentleman said? He said that we not do economic impact study. If you want, you all do it. See Paul Narayan, honorable member, is here. He can testify to that discussion. The member, so they have the eye all the time to close this sugar industry, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, that's the way they want it. And Mr. Speaker, before I go further, I would like to state I am very disappointed.
Mr. Speaker, if
Mr.
I
Speaker,
may. 1 minute. Mr. Minister, 1 minute. Mr.
Honorable
Speaker,
member,
I am trying
point of order.
I am trying to listen to the
Point of
Honorable
order.
Minister.
Thank you very much. You may continue.
Mr. Speaker, as I said, I was not in the National Assembly last Monday for some part of the debate. But, Mr. Speaker, when I learned what took place and what was said, I was very disappointed. Because, Mr. Speaker, you have an honorable member, or who calls himself honorable, who's supposed to set the example, who is the chief whip of the opposition. calling Gaisuko bloodsucker on the back of the ratepayer. Mr. Speaker, I am asking the honorable member that he must apologize to the workers of this country, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, anyone who have decency, anyone who is supporting the workers must condemn that blatant, wicked statement, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, that's the kind of way they treat workers. That is why they are over there. They try their best to rig the elections to stay in power because they know people will not vote for them. So now they start to degrade it and use all kind of derogatory words to describe the sugar workers, describe the workers of this country. And then Mr. Ramjatan got the gumption to come and support that. Today he had the opportunity of redemption to condemn his fellow member, but he failed to do it. He supported them because he was used as a pawn by the coalition government to close the sugar industry, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if I didn't know better, if I didn't know better that people from all walks of life...
Mr. Duncan, I can hear you too. Please.
If people from all walks of life that are employing Gaisuka, I would have said the honorable member's statement was racist. But, Mr. Speaker, I wouldn't say that. I will say that they take their eye and pass the sugar workers in this country, Mr. Speaker. They take their eyes and pass the sugar workers. Mr. Speaker, someone, when their party who is now under the mask of APNU and the Dead Meat Party, because that was the only rightful prediction honorable member ever made in the history of this country, Ramjatan, that the AFC will be a dead meat party, and today your prediction is true. Today your prediction come to pass. That's the only true prediction you ever do. So, Mr. Speaker, when the PNC was sucking out the life of Gaisuko by the sugar levy, wasn't that a blood-sucking activity? Mr. Speaker, when they rented a bottom house, a small house as a drugs ban, wasn't a blood-sucking activity? So, Mr. Speaker, I think every right-minded Guyanese, every decent person must call on the honorable member to retract his statement and make a public apology to the workers of this country. Mr. Speaker, I will turn to the agriculture sector. Because of the misinformation. The half-truth that is being peddled here, you have to set the record straight. If I don't have time to finish my presentation, I will go and the Guyanese people will know. They will see in reality what this government will be doing for them. Right? So it's important that we correct the misinformation that is being peddled in this house here. Mr. Speaker, agriculture, as you know, as the honorable member would have stated in his budget presentation, contribute 27.1% of non-GDP. Over the last 5 years, I want to say that the agriculture sector, the entire agriculture sector over the last 5 years was in a state of hopelessness. Mr. Speaker, when you talk about agriculture, as I am saying again, you must use facts, you must use figures. In 2014, Mr. Speaker, when the last year our budgetary allocation for agriculture was $9.7 billion, excluding non-rice and non-sugar. Mr. Speaker, in 2016, the budgetary allocation under the APNU AFC government dropped to $8.6 billion. That's the way they want to improve agriculture. Reduce over the years the expenditure on agriculture. And from 2016 to 2021, we have increased the allocation in the agriculture sector by more than 100%, Mr. Speaker. Budget 2021 bills on what was put forward in 2020 emergency budget and provides the catalyst for the revitalization of the agriculture sector and lay the groundwork for the reclamation of Guyana as the breadbasket of the Caribbean and the agriculture powerhouse of this part of the hemisphere, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the agriculture sector is no longer suffering from poor management. Rather, we have once again taken up our position as leader in agriculture in the region, Mr. Speaker. That position was surrendered when St. Vincent and the Grenadines took up that position and had to craft a food policy for CARICOM. Now, I have had a meeting, and not so long ago, His Excellency has presented a document to CARICOM, to the CSME committee, and that document will come up for discussion. Every time the PPP Civic is in government, we have leaders from Guyana who have vision. We have had the Jagdeos initiative adopted by CARICOM, and now we have our young, vibrant, and energetic president who will once again lead our nation in the CARICOM arena. Mr. Speaker, you have to have a vision. And as I said, it's not our fault if they don't have vision over there. It's not our fault if they don't have vision over there. And when you look at the vision that we have, I have summarized it in five points. We want an agriculture sector that encourages investment and where agriculture producers operate profitable businesses. That's the first aim of us. We will build an agriculture sector that is market-driven with a clear focus on the transformation of raw material into healthy processed product. Mr. Speaker, we will build an agriculture sector that consistently contributes to national food security and nutrition. The comrades talk, the honorable member talk about the Food Safety Authority and the Animal Welfare Bill. Mr. Speaker, you know why those bills is not in existence yet? Because of the draconian laws in those bills. Those bills has to come back here for amendment to ensure that we are with the other parts of the world. Mr. Speaker, we want an agriculture sector that enhances rural communities through employment and livelihood generation, and an agriculture sector that builds resilience to vulnerability, shocks, and stress, with emphasis on adaptation to climate change. That is our objective, Mr. Speaker. That's our objective for the agriculture sector in this country. Probably they can't comprehend. They can't comprehend the summary of a vision. That is why they are over there. And the only thing they can do heckle. They can't listen and learn. That is why they are over there. They will continue. Empty barrel make the most noise. Empty barrel make the most noise. They can't listen and learn. They can't listen and learn, but empty vessel make the most noise. Mr. Speaker, I want to turn to the rice sector. During Budget 2020 presentation, I stated, the honorable member talked about rice. Which government coined the term that rice is private business? Rice is private business, the honorable member and his coalition government. I stated in the 2020 presentation of my budget speech that rice is Guyana's business. Rice is the people's business. And we'll work to see the rice industry flourish. We assessed the rice industry and found that our rice farmers was enduring many challenges. We have brought solution, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, and as he said, he's criticizing the kind of intervention we have made. It is a stated fact. You go into the communities, you go into these areas, you will now know that the energy level is very high. We are seeing once again a new interest in the agriculture sector because of the measures that we have put in place. We have reduced land rental and D&I charges. They have increased it by over 600%. Now a farmer who used to pay $15,000 for 1 acre annually is now just paying 3,500 acres, thanks to our government. And he's criticizing the honorable member. He's criticizing those policies. And he's talking about the WTO. If he doesn't know that the United States over the years have been subsidizing the agriculture sector in those countries on an annual basis. On an annual basis, every year, the United States of America government support and subsidize the agriculture sector, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, we as a government, we recognize the potential in the agriculture sector. We is not like them putting all our eggs in one basket, and when you ask for work to be done, say wait until the oil and gas revenue come on stream. We are once again seeing the contribution to our GDP by this important sector. Agriculture is here to stay, and we'll continue to invest in the agriculture sector of our country. Mr. Speaker, even though the APNU place high increases, if they place high increases in these areas, and almost all the infrastructures were neglected. I can remember last year when I took over this position, I had to go to cabinet for emergency fund to do work in the ND and in the DNI system at MMA. We had to expend over $90 million. And Mr. Speaker, over time, if you go now to the MMA scheme, you will see the entire waterway. Thousands of miles of canals are clear, and you have proper infrastructure in place there. Mr. Speaker, as Minister of Agriculture, one budget speech I heard that drones are being sowing seeds. I'm still looking for the drones. Probably the APNU AFC are funds that flying things, and they put it like that. But Mr. Speaker, as I said, we have reduced land rental and DNI charges. We have taken out the VAT on agriculture input, machinery, pesticide. As a result of that, Mr. Speaker, farmers now are getting these things at a cheaper cost. They are now saving, as the Honorable Minister would have indicated and stated in his budget speech, that $1.3 billion now is being saved by the rice farmer. Those money has become disposable income and are used in the community to enhance the life of every single citizen, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, what we have done, this year, I want to state on some of the programs that we will be doing. The Guyana Rice Development Board have been providing the necessary support to our rice farmers. Last year, under this crop, we have provided 25,902 bags of seeds to farmers. We have provided 5 mechanical sprayers to bring relief to farmers from the paddy bugs. In 2021, we will procure another 5 long-reach sprayers to aid paddy bug control for $7 million, which will reduce the damage caused by paddy bugs and reduce the high cost of spraying the paddy bugs by 60%. Nationally, Mr. Speaker, there is a lack of capacity to dry paddy during the peak season of harvesting. Accessibility is a challenge due to the limited number within each region. And the cost to transport paddy is high due to the distance of farm to drying floor. They are going to be, this year, Mr. Speaker, we'll be constructing 6 new drying floors in Region 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 at a cost of $80 million. This will see an additional 50,000 bags of paddy being dry per crop. Mr. Speaker, we'll continue to do farm-to-market road. As a matter of fact, as I am speaking here not so long ago, my honorable colleague, Dr. Ashni Singh, and myself went to West Berbice and we signed a contract for $229 million for the Anvawak all-weather access road. Mr. Speaker, this year again we will see within the 5274 area, we will see new farm-to-market road being constructed there. We will see new land being opened up in those areas. Over 20,000 acres of land will be opened up. So those are the things that we're talking about. And Mr. Speaker, the honorable member would have talked about markets. So what we have done over the last few months, we have secured new markets in Hungary and Latvia, and we have increased our quota to Brazil. Now we'll be supplying 34,000 tons of rice instead of 24 that we just normally do before. Mr. Speaker, the honorable member didn't talk about the Panama debt to Guyana rice millers. because they signed a contract and they leave the rice millers alone. And today the Panamanian authority would have owed the Guyanese rice miller over $2 billion, thanks to the APNUAFC government. We are working to resolve that issue, Mr. Speaker. We are working. He didn't talk about that. He conveniently left that out. Mr. Speaker,
Honorable member, I'm working to give you some more time. So someone move an extension.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to ask that the honourable member have 5 minutes more to conclude.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, you may continue.
thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we will continue to invest in the various sectors in the agriculture, in the agriculture sector, because we have recognized the importance of agriculture to the GDP of our country. We are now seeing more and more people getting involved in this activity. Mr. Speaker, NDIA, we have almost doubled the budget. $12 billion will be expended this year in the NDIA to do infrastructure for new pump station at Adventure, Cotton Field, Montrose. Over 54,000 acres of farmlands will be serviced by these pumps. We'll have excavators, new excavators to desilt channel and continue to build the bank on the Pomeroon. This year we'll procure a pontoon with 2 excavators specifically for the Pomeroon area. The area farmers will have a lot of relief there. Mr. Speaker, Nari will have $1.2 billion expended at Nari for this year. And last year we would have spent $15 million to procure shade house material. They wanted a green state economy. You talk about a low carbon development strategy just now, the honorable member. But what their green state economy? Paint everything in green. Don't put anything in place to resolve climate change. They're painting everything in green, paint building in green, paint fences in green, and everything in green. And they're raising green shirt. What we have done, last year we have procured $15 million shade house material. And those materials now are being made available to farmers, where 100 shade houses will be built. And this year again we'll continue. That's a smart way of doing agriculture, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Hope Coconut Estate. The honorable member talked about many bridges. I am challenging the honorable member to take me there and point out those bridges. When I took over the Ministry of Agriculture, they had one halfway built bridge. I had to go and do remedial work to get the bridge done properly. Mr. Speaker, this year we'll be expending $70 million the Hope Coconut Estate. Last year we would have built 2 new nurseries, one at Kairuni, one at Charity. This year we will build another 4 new nurseries, one at Leg 1 at Wakenham, number 63 on the quarantine, and in Region 5, Fort Wellington. Mr. Speaker, we are setting up the sectors within the agriculture sector to be in a state that we can take Guyana forward. Because we recognize we are now witnessing more and more people, not only from Guyana, but overseas, coming to Guyana to invest in agriculture. Gone are the days when people give up hope. Today, you see the enthusiasm are very high. The energy levels are very high among farmers. Today, we have a government that is responsive to the needs of the farmers. Mr. Speaker, every single day since August of last year, I would have visited hundreds of communities and interact with thousands of farmers, unlike those over there who used to hide in their office and be behind their desk to do agriculture. I normally, my staff and myself normally go in the field and listen to the plights of the farmers. That's the way you deal practically with the problems farmers are faced with. Mr. Speaker, I can go on and on, but as I said, that the agriculture sector is about to take off. The agriculture sector this year, we have seen an increase by 23%. We have moved the spending from 18.5 million to 22.6 billion. 18.5 billion to 22.6 billion, a 23% increase in the agriculture allocation, budgetary allocation. And that will catalyst the agriculture sector to move Guyana forward. So, Mr. Speaker, the government, through the Ministry of Agriculture, has started and will continue to actively involve our partners, farmers, fishers, agro-processors, exporters, producers association, Chamber of Commerce, development agencies, to ensure we work together to fulfill our vision to be the agriculture powerhouse in this part of the world. Mr. Speaker, today the journey has started. The journey has started. We had the blueprint when we went to the election campaign. This is the blueprint, the manifesto of the People's Progressive Party. The blueprint. And Mr. Speaker, I will use a term to coin this as an engineer estimate to take us forward, prepared by the Honorable Dr. Ashni Singh. This will move us forward this year. The journey has started last year. It's exciting now in our country. Many people are coming on board. Almost the entire country are rallying around the government because they want to see progress. And Mr. Speaker, allow me to end where I started, that this budget is transformative, is visionary, and is comprehensive. And I want to extend, rather than to come here and rant and rave and behave that you're in a gaffing session, I want to invite the opposition to come on board, join us in this exciting journey to take Guyana forward into the future. Mr. Speaker, I now commend this comprehensive budget to the Honorable House. Thank you very much.